Well, I'd probably try the holy water.
Okay.
And be very aware that works for Catholics.
Yeah.
I think being Jewish is really going to be a problem.
Hey, I'm James A. Janisse, and some of you may know me as Dead Meat. If you do, you probably already know that I love to watch people die. You know, like on screen. I've always wanted to talk to the horror legends who put those kills on screen and find out what scares them, and also if they could survive their favorite kill scenes. This is Meetup. Today's guest, director and writer Mick Garris. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Meetup on Crypt TV, where I interview legends of the horror genre. Today's legend is Mr. Mick Garris. No, that's you.
Okay.
Hey, great to see you, Mick.
Great to see you.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you.
here today at Crimsey's Cajun Kitchen.
Crimsey's Vegan Cajun Kitchen.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was allowed in here, being the host of Dead Meat.
Yeah, you could burst into flames upon going through the doors, but as that didn't happen, I think we're comfortable.
So, Mick, you are a writer, director, producer. You might best be known, or at least the internet says, as the, I'd say, premier director of Stephen King adaptations.
Stephen King's bitch. Yeah.
Oh, I hadn't heard that, but your words,
I've
not
heard
mine.
that, but yeah, not mine either. But he had seen Psycho 4, and I guess I became the expert in sleeping with your mother. Not personally, but movies about such things. And the next thing was The Stand.
So I feel like The Stand is commonly thought of as like his magnum opus.
Yeah, it turned into a hugely successful miniseries. Well, it was a really good start to our professional and personal relationship.
Okay, and then you would go on to do the Shining miniseries adaptation in '97.
3 years later, yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching that as a kid. I was probably too young for it.
That's good parenting,
Yeah, right.
as far as I'm concerned.
The Shining adaptation is your adaptation. Stephen King has said he prefers it, right, to the Kubrick one?
Yeah, I think he makes no bones about his not being a huge fan of the Kubrick film, because that book was a very personal one to him. King himself had written a draft of The Shining for Kubrick or two that Kubrick just tossed aside and went his own way. So I think he was personally hurt by it, and it was such an important book to him professionally and personally and emotionally that when The Stand was such a success and ABC said to him, whatever you want to do, we want to do that. He said, I'd like to do The Shining. And so that's what happened. So most people don't know that Kubrick got paid $1.5 million for us to be able to do that. And part of the contract was that King was not allowed to talk about his opinion of the Kubrick film.
Oh, wow.
So there were some pretty heavy-duty impositions.
I had no idea
on
about
us.
that.
Yeah. The one great thing about Stephen King's bitch line is I've never once had Steve tell me, I think you should do it this way, or don't you think it would be better like that? I mean, I've certainly asked him questions because you've got that asset on your set next to you and you don't avail yourself, you're an idiot and you're masturbating with a camera.
You've been doing a lot of non-horror stuff recently too.
I always feel like I'm learning and evolving and having a really good time surrounded by creative people, you know, who you find on a set, whether it's movies or TV or whatever.
I feel like you're very good at adapting to the changes in media because you also have a podcast.
I started doing interviews way back in the 60s when I was a kid, literally in high school, with Postmortem as a podcast. It's something like giving back. It's contributing to cinema history. It's giving an hour-long interview that's not about somebody's latest movie to promote it. It's not the Entertainment Tonight of horror, but something that's a little deeper and richer and something that I feel I learned from.
Yeah, I had a similar conversation with Eli Roth because he has his History of Horror show,
Right,
of course, that you're part of.
Yeah.
He made the good point that, you know, when we started losing people like Romero and Tobe Hooper, it was kind of a wake-up call for him to like do something like that, like
Now
get all
is
this
the time. Yeah.
exactly. And he cited you as an influence because
Oh, wow.
you had the Masters of Horror
Dinners,
parties.
yeah.
Yeah.
That led to the series. Yeah.
What were those dinners like that led to the show?
The first one we ever did took me a week to put together, getting everybody's time straight. Ended up getting 12 filmmakers together. It was me, Tobe Hooper, John Carpenter, Guillermo del Toro, John Landis, Bill Malone, Stuart Gordon. There were a dozen of us. And we just had a dinner in the middle of a restaurant like anybody else would, a group of 12 people. we just talk to each other. And it's not necessarily about horror or whatever, but we all have the same job. And it's just like a bunch of car salesmen getting together for a dinner, but we don't sell cars, we sell blood. And so we're having this great time. This table next to us was celebrating a birthday party. And so when they started singing Happy Birthday, we all joined in and sang Happy Birthday. And at the end, Guillermo del Toro stands up and says, "The masters of horror wish you a happy birthday."
Oh my God.
And so that's where the name came from.
All right, now we have our food here. This is not the breakfast I'm used to, but it's
Nor mine,
delicious.
but it worked.
So what do we got here? We got some steel-cut oats, fresh
Yeah.
fruit.
Veggie sausage.
Mmm.
These are beignets,
Yeah, we'll have
classic
to
New Orleans style.
we'll hit those up after we're done filming.
That'll make clouds. And then this is fried potatoes and veggies.
Fried potato. These are amazing.
You would be amazed at how many horror directors are vegan. Aside from myself, Axel Carolyn, Don Coscarelli, Adam Rifkin, Alejandro Brugués. I mean, a lot of the vegan gang making horror films.
The vegan gang. I just
Yeah, there
imagine
we
you
go.
guys like
Yeah.
rolling down the street.
Du-du-du-du.
I believe I saw that Toby Hooper said something about making Texas Chainsaw Massacre made him vegetarian.
That would not surprise me.
Mhm.
I don't think it lasted long.
Okay. So I wanted to ask, how does it feel to be the director of what might be the only Easter horror movies? And Critters 2, which was your directorial debut?
My feature directorial.
Your feature,
debut.
yes, yeah.
I had been writing for Steven Spielberg on Amazing Stories, and so all of the people who would never even look at my scripts or take a meeting with me were all offering me jobs because I'd been knighted by King Stephen. And New Line came to me. They'd made Critters, which was a modest theatrical success and a bigger home video success. They were going to do Critters 2. It was greenlit. They offered it to me, and they said, you can rewrite it any way you want. You rarely get that opportunity where a movie is, we're making it, we want you to do it, start now.
Yeah.
And so Critters 2 had the opportunity to do that. It was structured like a classic Western. It was set around Easter. There'd never been another Easter horror movie that I know of. I really embraced the cliches of the holiday, the little old ladies in their pastel dresses and the Easter egg hunts and the kids, and throwing them into that kind of jeopardy was really fun. And the movie tanked completely. It was a huge flop. But people have come to love my little child, you know. It's pretty exciting to see something that you'd written off for dead to come back in glorious Technicolor.
All right, Mick, now it's time for the fun and games segment of this interview. And before we met, we had you tell us 3 of your favorite horror movies. And they were Rosemary's Baby, Psycho, and An American Werewolf in London, which I chose for this little experiment that we're going to do.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is place you in a scene from that movie and see how you would react to it. But thankfully, you're not going to have to do it by yourself. You're going to draw 3 items out of here. And it's up to you as a creative writer, creative thinker, to see how you can use these items as you navigate your way through this scene. So
All right.
if you could please pick 3 random items from the chum bucket.
A flask of holy water, a kettlebell,
A kettlebell. Okay.
less useful, an electrified fly swatter.
That's a thing?
You gave it to me.
Whoops. Okay, so using those 3 items, we're gonna place you in the scene of one of the most out of left field scenes I've ever seen in a movie. The dream sequence involving the demon Nazis. If you were in David's position, you know, sitting at that table, the demon Nazis rush in, and let's say one of them even does what they did to David. They grab you and they put a knife to your neck, because they hold that knife there for a while, so you
Right.
got time to act.
Well, I'd probably try the holy water.
Okay.
And be very aware that works for Catholics.
Yeah.
I think being Jewish is really going to be a problem here. So I think I would just get them wet.
At the very least, if you get in their eyes.
That's right. That's
know?
right. And I could pull away and grab the kids, charge out the door over Dad's bullet-riddled body.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah.
So now that the kids are out on the front lawn,
Right, I charge back in,
okay,
jam the electrified fly swatter into an eye socket, popping a Nazi eyeball.
nice.
zapping. So when his friend comes up to him, grabs him by the shoulder, he too is electrified.
Ooh.
And then grab Mom and pull her to safety through the door with the kids, and we run through the forest.
But as you're running, you realize that TV you just paid a whole bunch for, and you know that Nazis have a tendency to kick in TVs, and you don't want that to happen. So,
Well, from a distance, I take that kettlebell,
yeah.
wind it, and throw, and break Nazi skull.
Oh, nice. Just a perfectly aimed shot through the window right before he kicks out Miss Piggy.
And it would be perfectly aimed. I'm in great shape when it comes to throwing kettlebells,
That's right, yeah.
especially after the exhilaration of the fly swatter in the eyeball. There's my action scene.
Yeah, no, that sounds like you did a lot better than David did.
Yeah, because he gets his throat cut
Yeah.
and then wakes up again.
Thankfully.
And then wakes up again after the second. I love the double dream thing.
The
that
double
Landis
dream.
did there.
It always
It's
gets
such
you.
a good movie.
Well, thanks for playing along, Mick. I really
Doing my
appreciate
best.
that. You have a new movie coming out
Yes.
soon, right?
Nightmare Cinema, it is an anthology movie, 5 filmmakers from around the world telling 5 completely unrelated stories that are tied together by the great Rialto Theater in South Pasadena, which was in La La Land and The Player.
Oh, nice.
But it's been closed down for a dozen years. But in our movie, it's a haunted movie theater. And the movie's called Nightmare Cinema, and people come upon this theater and see the marquee lights up,
Mm-hmm.
the name of a movie, and they are the star. And it's like, wait, I've never been in a movie. They walk into this deserted theater and are confronted by films that contain them in them, of some of their most potent fears.
I'll definitely check that out in theaters,
Excellent.
as should everyone else. And like we mentioned before, Postmortem Podcast on the Blumhouse Network.
On
is that right?
Blumhouse, yeah, we're interviewing really terrific filmmakers within the genre. It's something I learn from all the time. And having the perspective of a podcast where a filmmaker interviews filmmakers, we really get to hear things I've never heard before from all of these guests. Even in my gray hair years, I find myself busier than I've ever been in my life.
Of course, you got it.
It's great.
Thanks so much, Mick.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Watch new vids every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on Crypt TV.